I'm actually seeing old interface of Google Hangout. Is it for everyone?
No.
In the past, it was
I'm
Meet,
not sure.
Google Meet, but now it's all old interface.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like old one for me as well.
Yeah, they may have reverted their changes. All right. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, guys. And Caesar, it's a Tuesday. As I was talking with you earlier, every Tuesday and Thursday we have pay-per-click team meeting for like half an hour of something. So it's a today, which is Tuesday. We're going to have this meeting, and next meeting will likely gonna come on Thursday. So this is how it goes. Today we will going to speak on time management again. Today's session is the second session on time management. The last time we have talked about time management was on 9th of August, wherein we have dived into 17 quick tips of how one can really be on top of time, how one can actually manage his time, a kind of flow. Today we are going to speak on something very different, and it is called as the Pomodoro technique. Uh, so let me open the presentation here. All right, good. There we go. The Pomodoro technique. It's the patented name, the registered name, the Pomodoro technique. Uh, what is Pomodoro technique? Anyone knows it already? I'm
No.
sure Caesar would be. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else other than Caesar? Vivek said no. Aditya, Dania, Sarvesh, any of you
No,
know this word?
no.
Okay. So this is fairly new, and I was also got to know about this specific technique last week when I was communicating with Caesar, and he actually brought this into my notice that there is actually a technique available, and it has been invented a long time ago in 1980 by a very good author, very good person. Actually, student. He was a student, so he invented it. I was curious to know that what is this technique is all about, and when I go when I have gone through it, I found it very interesting, and actually I can relate it to one of our existing time management technique that we use, and it's HML, or high medium low priority. It's the same kind of technique, but it is much more effective, much more physical, and has been defined a lot clearly, and one can really be on top of pretty much everything if he uses this technique. So somehow it is related with our HML, but fundamentally it is actually completely different. So we will dive into what is this technique is all about. The Pomodoro technique is a time management technique developed by Francisco Cirillo in the late 1980s. You guys can imagine that, people who was in like, history, they were a lot, familiar. I mean, they were on top of pretty much their creativity in kind of, developing techniques and tools. uh, we have seen it time to time, no matter whichever the field is, whether it is technology, whether it is science, whether it is healthcare, in pretty much any field, people in the past, I think they have done a lot better job than people, in this century. Maybe we are so equipped with a lot of information, lot of tools, lot of software, and it makes it probably a little bit easier for someone to invent something, even though it is still harder. But I still believe that, people in the history, people in the ancient time, where there were very less amount of resources available, but they were still capitalized on their creativity and and on many things, and went ahead and invented a lot of things. So this particular technique also comes back from ancient time, not totally ancient, better to say it's 90s, 1980s, and it is such a widely popularized and simple technique to become more efficient and productive with your time. And one can imagine that it is very popular even at this time of time. uh, and you guys will probably not believe, a lot of software, lot of websites, lot of applications which is available, application for time management or any application or software which functions with time, uses this particular technique. So you can imagine it is actually very good technique. Francisco originally wrote a book on this, which is available for sale on Amazon. That's right. It's a latest version, which has been written in 2013, is still available, and a lot of people actually uses it. So the technique has been originally written into in the form of book, but later, time to time, people have actually polished the technique and introduced a little bit of tools later on, especially the Pomodoro kitchen timer tool, which is one of assets needed in order to function using this technique. Great. So kitchen timer is one of 6 steps you need. So you guys need 6 steps. Anyone who actually works with Pomodoro time management technique would need to have a timer. And in Pomodoro technique, it is kitchen timer. In fact, this timer, the Pomodoro timer, the image you see, it has been invented based on this technique. And the reason it is called as kitchen timer is because it has been widely used in kitchen. I think before 1980s, it was kind of timer people used to use in kitchen. But this particular Pomodoro timer has been actually only built for time management. It's widely known as the kitchen timer, and you guys can see see it is in shape of tomato. All right, so 6 steps. Now these 6 steps will define how this technique functions. Right there in the screen, which you are seeing, the Pomodoro technique, basically 6 steps, actually 5 are original steps. The 6th step is coming back to number 1 step. You guys can see it's technically only 5 steps, but after 5 steps, your 6th step will be returning to number 1 step. So number 1 step is decide on the task to be done. Obviously, you have to plan out your task first, what you want to work on or what you want to get completed. Okay, once you are done with outlining or planning of your task, the next thing is you need to set the timer to 25 minutes. And now the Pomodoro or kitchen timer is exactly 25 minutes. The big difference here is it's not like you're going to find it out like the 60 minutes. The Pomodoro limits up to just 25 minutes. So as soon as you enable it, it will actually, it will exactly rings after 25 minutes. That is a specialty of kitchen timer. So once you start working on a particular task, set the timer for 25 minutes, work on the task until the timer rings. And once timer rings after 25 minutes, take a short 5-minute break. So 25-minute work, 5-minute break, your 30 minutes has been gone. Now again, return to number 1 step. You need to repeat 1 to 4 step 4 times for a particular task. So again, take a 5-minute break, return to number 1 step, begin the work or continue from where you were left. Once again, turn on the timer, kitchen timer, and take a break once it rings. So you'll be actually working for 110 minutes and taking 15-minute break. I'm saying here 15 minutes because I'm only saying here 3 times break. The fourth time break will be a longer break. That is the specialty of this technique. Your first break will be 5 minutes, second break will be 5 minutes, third break will be 5 minutes, but fourth break, as soon as you complete your fourth Pomodoro, you'll be going on minimum 15 or 30-minute break. So in total, you will be actually, in reality, you will be functioning 2.5 hours with this Pomodoro technique. So the Pomodoro cycle in a scale or in a feet, the straight feet, you can see the exact time I was talking about. 25 minutes of uninterrupted, undivided attention, totally focused work of 25 minutes. So as soon as your Pomodoro rings, you are going on 5 minutes of quick break, which actually refreshes your mind. Again, you are returning, working for 25 minutes, and then again 5 minute break. So in this 25 minute, it should be absolutely not top of your productivity. Productivity, that means without any distractions, no hangout, no email, no phone call, nothing external. You can actually at least postpone everything for at least 25 minutes. There wouldn't be anything so urgent that you will need to address before that 25 minute or before your Pomodoro rings. So here is what you can see after 3 5 minute break. The fourth you can take little longer. This long break will actually give you more time for your mind to get refreshed and regather all sort of energies. And in between these breaks, you should do the activities you love or you enjoy, absolutely other than work. Okay, technique fundamentals. All right, now what are the fundamentals? We have seen the steps which are needed to work according to this technique, but here are actually fundamentals which are ingredients of this technique. And in other words, we can say it all starts with a planning. So you need to plan your day, then tracking. So tracking means you are outlining your activities and you are outlining your time as well, and then recording. Now recording and tracking both are different activities. In a tracking, say like for a non-branded campaign creation, you are estimating that it will need you one Pomodoro. So one Pomodoro means 425-minute Pomodoro, or in other words 110 minutes. You are estimating this, you have written it, now start recording it. You may end up needing maybe 1.5 Pomodoro. So you have been recording that, you have been writing it somewhere in maybe say like a spreadsheet, offline spreadsheet. Your activity, non-branded campaign creation, you estimate 4 Pomodoro, but you found out that it took you 1.5 Pomodoro. So that means 50 more minutes. So you are tracking as well as recording. Now all these activities you are processing somewhere in software, or say you uses Excel, import it. Or a lot of people uses actually applications, just like Time Doctor. Time Doctor also records our activities. I'm not sure whether Time Doctor also works on this technique, but I have seen there were many timer applications available on the web who are based on this technique. So you are processing your data and then you are trying to visualize it in a graph, that how effective you are in terms of your plan and what you had estimated, what was the reality, how much time you had actually spent, and then you are trying to visualize that how effective you are in terms of your planning and actually processing.
Ashok, can you please elaborate little bit more this?
Sure. So the idea here is, we all know that what are the techniques here. We can easily, this is very simple. One can easily begin working based on this. Immediately after this meeting, say like Aditya wants to set up a non-branded campaign, he can immediately, start working on that using this technique. It's fairly simple to work, but what is the big picture here? The big picture is, why we use this technique, the reason why. Now that why actually drives you to look into the fundamentals, why, the technique is here, why it has been invented, and how we should use it. So plan your day very first. For example, at the moment, what we do, we also do planning. We also do planning when we sign in here in Coalition. We go through emails, we go through chats, we look into Basecamp, we look into Score Tasks, we look into Google Calendar, and then we plan out our day. You guys write down your HML. You guys write down your important accounts. That is also planning. So you have planned something. Now you need to actually track it. So if you are using Pomodoro technique, imagine that physically you have 4 kitchen timer on your desk, and for Aditya to create a non-branded campaign, he estimates that okay, he'll need to have a 1 Pomodoro or 4 kitchen timer, or in other words, he'll need 110 minutes to finish up that non-branded campaign. This is what he is actually estimating in his planning, and he is actually writing it somewhere in a paper or a spreadsheet. That is a tracking. You are tracking. Now recording, the difference between tracking and recording, make a note here, is Adit estimated 110 minutes to complete a non-branded campaign, but in reality it took him 150 minutes, 160 minutes, or 2 hours in other words. So this means he had to actually run his Pomodoro 6 times. I mean kitchen timer 6 times. So he needed 1.5 Pomodoro. So originally he had actually estimated 110 minutes, but he ended up doing or creating that non-branded campaign in 2 hours. Say like he had to take 50 more minutes. Now this 50 more minutes, there is actually, he actually needs to improve on his planning later on. This is a cycle. Now you are processing this, you are visualizing, you are trying to exactly see in a software, in a time doctor, if you go, you can actually see in the form of pie, like how your time is being spent. So all these, visualization is available there for you to self-observe how you are doing, and whether you need adjustment somewhere in your planning in order to be efficient. So these are all, 5 fundamentals, but 5 whys, why one should actually always, observe his time and adjust. Remember guys, this is actually optimization. Time is optimizations. You need to work, and a lot of people struggle against time management. The simple reason is because they are somewhere failing in terms of like planning and, tracking, recording, and processing properly. They are not seeing, or they are not observing where they are spending their most time into, and whether they should spend their time there or not. So this Pomodoro technique fundamentally explains, these criteria. I mean, you need 5 things, 5 whys, and use this technique, and on cycle basis and on ongoing basis, observe how you are doing and adjust your planning. Now, next time, Aditya can simply, whenever he'll be working on next non-branded campaign, he'll probably not going to estimate that that task will going to take 110 minutes. He'll surely make it 2 hours. The reason is because, he's actually exactly, because he has experience. Last time he worked on non-branded campaign, it took him 2 hours. Now it is a different thing, that is non-branded campaign is different. But this simply gives you, how good you are in terms of planning with the time management. One of the big struggle with time management is what you expect. I bet you wouldn't be actually, 100% correct on that. At the end of the day, you'll still feel that you actually missed something. And the simple reason is because there are so many things to do, and we get a struggle with time management. So Pomodoro technique is actually very good in terms of, being efficient. So those 5 activities, 5 steps, and the 6 steps, This is what you can see in another kind of visualizations. You are planning initially by looking into your emails, looking into your Hangout, Google Calendar, Basecamp, score tasks, everything you have been planning. You have been tracking it, you have been writing down. Good thing is PPC Central Dashboard, HML, you have been tracking there. The only thing which we are not doing at the moment over there is we are not noting time, that how much or how many hours one particular account you're going to spend. That is something we are not noting at the moment. Recording, we can say that we are using Time Doctor for recording purpose, but I don't think we actually use it very seriously in terms of observing or self-analyzing our time, even though I recommend that you guys should actually regularly observe where your time is being spent on. So that's a recording. Processing, Time Doctor handles the same thing. Time Doctor records your time and it process, and shows you a lot of graphs, and you can see even the software or website or applications process. Visualization. A visualization is nothing but observation. Your observation and adjustment. You are seeing straight away what is coming in front of you and where you need adjustment. Great, guys. So there's a very interesting video. Now, so far, whatever I have talked about is just the technique and the fundamentals are whys behind that. But there is a much beyond in terms of, how you can maximize the use of this technique. And the video which is coming into next slide is a brilliant video which is explaining that, why you should use it and where you can actually find the real value of this technique, how you can capitalize, how you can really be boss of time management on an ongoing basis if you use it correctly. So let's watch it.
This is a Pommo.
So can you guys listen to the audio of this video?
Yep.
Yes.
Great.
This is a Pomodoro. This is a Pomodoro timer. This is the Pomodoro technique. The Pomodoro technique is a simple yet very effective way to improve your work and study habits. The basic requirement of this technique is to set the kitchen timer to 25 minutes. But this is just the beginning. In order to become a certified Pomodoro master, you need to achieve the following 6 objectives. First, find out how much effort an activity requires you by monitoring how many Pomodoros you need in order to accomplish a specific task. Second, learn to protect your Pomodoro from the internal and external interruptions. Third, make accurate estimations of how many Pomodoros you need for a certain activity. Fourth, use your Pomodoro time not just to work on your task, but spend a few minutes for recap and the last ones for review. Fifth, set a timetable according to your to-dos, to your time, or even to the season. This is good for organizing work and also for creating more free time. Sixth, once you have completed these objectives, find your own personal objective, such as being more efficient or improving the quality of your work. For example, a writer could track more accurately what he's doing during a Pomodoro, or a team may want to find out how good its cooperation is. But remember, you have to choose your own final objective. In order to achieve the best results, the objectives should be done incrementally. In other words, if you didn't complete an objective, don't move ahead to the next one. Continue trying to do better with the current objective until you feel that you've mastered it. For more in-depth tips, read the original book, record your progress, and become a certified Pomodoro master. PomodoroTechnique.com. I love my time. 2 hours and 43 minutes were saved using the Pomodoro technique in the making of this video.
Great. So the context is actually bigger here. that example of in your Pomodoro planning, you definitely should have some time for recap and reviews, apart from the doing the actual work. That is brilliant, and that way you will be certain that you will actually have certain time, certain Pomodoro for doing recap and review. And other thing is that personal objective that which has been mentioned in this video. The personal objective is nothing but you have been trying to actually improve in terms of your work quality. Obviously, it's actually a practice or a habit you will need to build up. Initially, when you set up this Pomodoro, you may be tempted to actually try to finish things in rush, because you will be aware about that timer is running somewhere and you need to really finish it. So here you need to be mindful of not becoming in mood of rush. Instead, just be you have been trying to actually optimize your time. You have a certain time to to complete this activity. So as you move along, your mind will start being into mindset of trying to do high quality work in a timely manner. So that is a big context here. And what else is definitely distractions. The main thing here is you need to have undivided attention on certain activity. Turn off pretty much everything for like that Pomodoro 25 minutes. 25 minutes is definitely you can do, or you can dedicate to a certain activity. And that certified Pomodoro, it's just actually that Francisco Celerio, he's having his official website. What you can do is you can request those activity spreadsheet and to-dos spreadsheet. I'm not sure how much does that cost, but you can request, you can fill them, and you can upload or submit to official websites. And if you are meeting their criteria, you'll be a certified Pomodoro master. This is certain initiatives, which has been running on official website.
This video.
Okay. So next is next slide. Come on. Great. So conclusion. Finally, the conclusion is, for many people, time is an enemy. We race against the clock to finish assignments and meet deadlines. The Pomodoro technique teaches you to work with time instead of struggling against it. A unique and exciting way to do work with time. That's the conclusion of this presentation. That's the conclusion of the Pomodoro technique. Let's be actually, the boss of your time. And this is not something which will come immediately. A lot of people tried it, and not there are many people who are really very efficient with time and successful, but the ones who are really successful with their time management, they'll be always doing what they want, and they'll not feel that the time has gone, or there's a delay on something or somewhere. The biggest difference, okay, this is my takeaway. This was my takeaway when I was preparing this presentation, and hopefully this should also be a very good thing here. The biggest difference, we have a lot of software, and one can easily find out a timer software. You guys will question me that, here Ashok, we use this Time Doctor, we have HML, we have pretty much everything in place. Why do we use what are the big reasons and why we should use this? The biggest difference is physical act. You are winding the timer. You are turning on your kitchen timer, which is actually confirms that you are determined to start the task. Now clicking on something like this alarm here for 30 minutes may just be one click, and it even did not tickle around to any motions of my mind or any nerve of my mind. I was just in that static mode. But instead, if I actually pick up that kitchen timer on my hand and turn it on, that will probably be more impact on my determination. That okay, I am turning on this kitchen timer, I am going to work on this task. There's a little better connectivity. with my emotions of doing a task, and the Pomodoro I have turned on. Other thing is ticking externalizes desire to complete the task. All right, so you have been turning on physical kitchen timer. This is also motivating you to do the task. And as soon as it rings, that you'll be delighted that you have a break time now. You need to do a break. You need to go and do the break there. So this physical activity is what it makes the biggest difference in this technique, because it makes you use the kitchen timer and the external sheet. Obviously, you can actually use not externally. You can use Excel sheet for tracking and recording purpose and processing purpose, which is recommended because that will be a lot easier to visualize your own time. But the fundamental or original Pomodoro technique recommends using paper, activity paper, to-do paper, to note down pretty much everything. That physicalness is also the recommended. It's a good thing that you are doing pretty much everything physically. Flow and focus become associated with this physical stimuli. That is heart of this presentation. Flow and focus become associated with this physical stimuli. And that is, the big thing probably perhaps in this fast virtual world. Any question?
The only concern is the estimation of time. So here you tell whenever we start something, we have to first estimate it, and accordingly we have to find out how many Pomodoro that will be applicable. So how we can estimate that? So what happens right now? Whatever we does, we started something ever during that campaign or something, but we don't estimate, and we couldn't estimate how actually the timing will be applied. And if we will started to estimating that, that will be also wasting of some time. So every time we start some work, so for example, in a day we work on 5 accounts. So before working on that account, we have to estimate that, and then we find out how many Pomodoro will applicable, and then accordingly, if that applies, that will also wasting of time. So how we can estimate that, and how we can actually execute that?
Very good questions. Actually, your planning needs to be very strong here. This ultimately goes to your planning. And yeah, it's a valid question that you have many accounts in hand, and whenever you will start creating a campaign, say like non-branded campaign, you'll probably not think anything. You'll straight away begin the work. The reason is because you know everything, that how to create a campaign. You'll need to perform. You'll first need to look into your client product, your client website, and you will need to perform keyword research, or in other words, you'll need to pick keywords, group them into ad groups, ask copywriter. These are actually small steps of particular task. And it should come into your planning that, okay, I need 4 Pomodoro, and out of this Pomodoro, 1 Pomodoro will go on just understanding client objective, or accessing client website for whom you are supposed to create a non-branded campaign. And rest of other 3 Pomodoro, out of those three Pomodoro, not Pomodoro guys, kitchen timer I mean, but I think Pomodoro is same. Kitchen timer, you'll annotate 1 Pomodoro to just dedicate that time to perform keyword research. And in that keyword research, you will probably try to use any and all any best available tools. A lot of time we may not use all tools, because we tend to pick up the keywords we think that should be best suited, and that is a good approach, still a recommended approach. But a lot of time you can actually probably look into some other tools and find out additional keywords as well that might be very good. So that can only happen if you have certain time set somewhere for that particular dedicated activities. So 2 Pomodoro has gone there. Now you are left with 2 more. So 1 Pomodoro, let's group them into ad groups. and the last Pomodoro, reserve it for review or recapping something. So if you plan it very strongly, and this is something you need to develop a skill for a strong planning, I don't think you'll be actually wasting your time anywhere. Instead, you will be enjoying it.
But my concern is something like different. So in our case, whatever we do, the time is not estimated, and even we cannot estimate it. So whether we do some work, we cannot break it in like 25 minutes and 30 minutes timing. So in 25 minutes,
Wait. That is just for a break. It doesn't mean that you have to finish something on that time. If your task is going to take you 1 hour, take it 1 hour. That means 2 Pomodoro. So that gives you a break. And originally, this timer is actually for a break. It forces you to take quick break.
Ashok, I also have one query.
Mm-hmm.
As you shown this timer section, in this we have 25 minutes like sections, right?
Right.
Is that mandatory to have 25 minutes intervals, or we can increase that time frame?
Another brilliant question.
Because because what I calculated is we have to complete 8 hours, right? And
Yes.
and if we complete 2 pomodoros, then we will complete our 1 hour break time in that 2 pomodoros, and we will not able to complete our 8 hour shift in that 2 pomodoros. So that was my concern.
Good questions. Very good questions. So this Pomodoro technique, the original Pomodoro techniques recommends 25 minutes of kitchen timer, but we can use a longer period kitchen timer, say like 1 hour. That is also fine. The only important thing here is your mind actually needs refreshness, something off your system, so that it can get rest, and it can be returned back with optimum minimum energy, optimum required energy. So now Dania's questions is very good. If you are doing 8 hour continuous shift and out of 9 hours there's just 1 hour available for break, then this technique may probably not work. So here in this instance, you will probably need a longer time Pomodoro. But for me, obviously there is no golden rule written anywhere in any policy, especially in coalition's policy, that you have to just finish up your shift just between that time period. You can take break as per your requirement. Obviously you need to be as per your approved shift, but you can take break. If you're taking break 5 minutes every 25 minutes using this technique, it's all fine. So that may need you to push up your shift post your ending shift hour little ahead. So that is how you will manage. But this is good questions, Dania, and I think this can even also answer Vivek's questions a little bit. Instead of using 25-minute Pomodoro, we can go ahead and work with 1 hour Pomodoro. I'm sure the kitchen timer with more hours would be available in the market, or if you use virtual software. And other thing is on Vivek's original questions, estimations. Yeah, estimation is a very challenging thing, and that's where, honestly speaking, I struggle. I begin a work estimating that I'll be actually spending 1 hour on a particular task, and I uses my timer, this one, a lot of time. But I end up spending, more. Say like I estimated 1 hour, but I am spending like 2.5 or 3 hours. Now this is actually making me not doing other things. And it's okay. It's okay that we are taking time because we are trying to slow here. We are trying to work with peace of mind. But at the end of the day, you will be overburdened probably next day, or you will be undone with a lot of activities. That's where the time management comes in. You have to consistently improve yourself.
Yeah, but the concern is if we are looking for quality work, so there we also have to look into, like if we will go for this process, then I guess somehow the quality will be suffered. So if we will be looking to complete something in a time frame or in hurry, that is going to affect on quality check as well. So how we are going to manage it?
So the solution, as per me, would be appropriately assign a time. Like if you think that you're going to take 3 hours to complete a particular non-branded, assign 3 hours. That is how you can begin, because obviously quality is very important, and that's what, one of the drawback of this technique is you may end up being into rushy mood, and that's not goal of this technique. That's also not where we need to be. We need to be still with peace of mind, because you can only be most productive and most effective if you are spending needed time on particular activity. So the solutions could be here. If Aditya thinks that he'll going to need 1.5 hours to create non-branded campaign, Aditya should assign 1.5 hours in his planning. Vivek thinks that he may need 2 hours. Use 2 hours on that. The planning is in your hand. And slowly, what is the good thing is you have been tracking, you have been noting down 2 hours, and then you will be ending the task, and you'll be seeing that, okay, what you had estimated and now how much you have spent your time into. That difference will be a very good self observation, that where your planning stands and where processing is, and how you can improve.
Ashok, in the video, it is told that uh, you have to set the Pomodoro. Then at that time, you have to keep the distracting away from you. Okay. So
Mhm.
now suppose I am working on a task and I have set 1 hour Pomodoro for,
Okay.
and suppose in meantime, any DP message me on Hangout that, hey, I'm on call and client is asking for this data. Can you please provide me? So, it, so this will be missed because
Right. So yeah, that is also a good questions, because our kind of working setup is we need to also regularly check email and hangout. So like say when you finish one Pomodoro 1 hour, have a 15 minute, say like sub Pomodoro for checking emails or hangout, or maybe 20 minutes or 30 minutes, depending on this process is still we are using, and this is something I have already recommended to you guys, is don't keep your hangout and email open. See, I have forgotten to actually close it while we are in this presentations. And what is happening, I am in totally kind of full mood of delivering this presentation to you guys, speaking to you guys, and if I hear a sound of hangout, somewhere my attention may have been divided. I may have, somewhere on back of my mind, might be thinking that, okay, who pinged me? Should I check it? So you should still, try to do kind of, one task at a time. Don't do multitasking, and do tasks with, undivided attention. Even if you do not use this technique, still, keep emails or hangout, maybe either quiet or totally close them for, certain period of time.
and suppose in that sub Pomodoro uh, break, I saw that, oh yeah, someone messaged me and asking for the data. Then what should I do? Should I uh, pause the existing task and then uh, should I go to fetch the data from my AdWords? Or
Good questions. And at the end of this research, when I was preparing this presentation, there was one sentence mentioned over there that if at any point that you have been forced to actually having go away from the activity you have been working on, then there are only two options available for you: either stop your Pomodoro immediately at that point of time and go back, go to the task which is actually pulling you or trying to steal you from the activity in hand. Do that task, and once you return on the same activities, resume your Pomodoro, or negotiate or mitigate or postpone all those kind of activities that you do usually whenever someone pings you on chat and asks you something. Tell them that you'll be doing it after some time. You are working on this task and you'll be finishing it after some time. Sounds good? So technically, guys, the technique is the same thing we have been doing. We have been doing it little bit differently, but this technique actually outlines probably more discipline with what you do. It's all about discipline. We make a lot of mistakes with our time management. We jump in activities. We try to do multitasking. Multitasking is one of the biggest productivity killers today. You feel that you have been actually handling pretty much everything, but in reality you are actually probably compromising with efficiency and quality of the work. You may probably end up making unnoticed mistakes. That's why it's been always said that always do one task at a time. So if you are more disciplined, you'll be much more effective and effective with your job. So this Pomodoro techniques is actually a very good way. I personally feel that it's really brilliant, and you guys actually see me maybe purchasing the timer and using it. I'm that kind of guy, but I highly recommend you guys to try something like that. It's not mandatory that you have to use it or you have to buy the timer. Use anything, but just try to be disciplined with your time, and not just within official work. I think you can actually enjoy this in other activities as well, in personal activities as well. And definitely don't turn on timer if you are actually not to say what's doing something personal, uh, but it's a lot of time it's your mind. The more you are disciplined, the more you are trained with your time, you'll benefit in a lot of way. Even in personal activities, you'll be much more disciplined with your time without any tool. Maybe in work we need these tools, in these techniques, but yeah, that being said, thank you so much guys for taking time and joining today, and have a good day ahead.